call meeting 1435 to order. It is now 7:32. Bringing regrets on behalf of the Deputy Mayor. She'd really like to be here, but unfortunately, she'd obviously like to be here with us, and we're sending our thoughts and prayers to them tonight for a speedy recovery, hopefully. I just wanted to let online viewers know as well that Councillor Lang is in attendance online with us here tonight. All right, in front of you, agenda meeting number 1435. Are there any additions or errors? Sorry. All right, hearing none. Minutes of the regular meeting number 1434 from March 28th are in front of you. Can I get a mover to accept those minutes, please?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Freak. Call for a question. Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. We also have, bear with me. All right, nope. Moving on to business arising from the minutes. Is there any business arising from the minutes?
Sorry. Just, I know we made mention last week of the figure skating show and minor hockey. So just wanted to say great job to the kids all last week on a good ice show, and good luck to all of our athletes who are traveling to our town this week. So just know we mentioned that last week. So huge congratulations to those folks.
100%. Thank you for that. All right.
Yeah, I have one as well. Sorry. I actually have two that I want to bring up. And this would be, I guess, arising from minutes as opposed to new business. But a couple people approached me asking about the pride of the town. And those were two pieces. One was, when are we going to put the updated plaque on? And then the second piece was, hey, when's the next issuance, essentially, because I've submitted an application. Somebody said to me, hey, I've submitted something. Do you know when that's going to be? I forget. Like, when did we do that last one? When's the last time we did? Do we remember? Anyone remember that month?
Closer to the fall, but just to give you some, I guess, an update from what I've heard, a supplier was speaking with Glenn, and they're in conversations of putting an additional add-on to that. So I guess once Glenn returns from holidays, we can get a better update on that. But that's a good question, because that's been
I know
around
people
for a
are
while.
pretty excited to sort of be selected, and they just want to see it represented, and people had nominated people as well, So I just want to keep it on the radar. Really, is the main piece.
Great point.
But we can get an update from Glenn for sure.
All right. Is there anything else? You noted two things.
Yes, and the other one I was wondering about was, and again, arising out of the minutes, was the letters that were going for the second layers of asphalt. Is that something that has already been completed? When were we hoping to get those out and get a response back? I'm just thinking about the year and the challenges that might be coming, trying to get ahead of that one a little bit as well.
Maxine, do you have an answer for that one?
It will be going out this week.
Okay.
All right.
I thought I had pictures of that Pride of the Town ceremony, but I can't find them. So
I just one at a time a year. Maybe we could we'll just keep it somewhat consistent as long as we're not gone past it or something.
I'm almost there. But
Now that we're on business rising from the minutes, I'd like to bring something up. It was brought to my attention this past Friday and today about waste bulk spring cleanup. We were 2 weeks delayed in getting the message out, I guess, in a mail. Has that been done, Maxine?
I know they were working on it last week. I'm not sure if they got them all sent out. We were copying them.
Okay, so I guess that's a discussion for council, even though there's a motion made with a date set. Is that something we have to bump up the date, because now you're going to run into complexities of the office being inundated with calls most likely next week with a shorter deadline? Or is that something that you can use your own discretion to, because we don't want to leave anybody out?
Well,
Well, we'll use our own discretion, and it will depend on, I think we're gonna be later starting, because we still got a lot of snow on the ground, so we will be later starting cleanup.
So I guess the question to the Chair of Public Works, is that something we can entertain, extending the date just to call in, not because it doesn't change the arrangement?
I think we're fine on that, Mayor, to use the Mayor, Maxine's discretion there, and Dave's discretion to make a determination. I can't see that harming anything. Like I said, for the snowfall that's still on the ground, or it's gonna kinda hamper everything that we're doing anyway, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd have no issue.
my biggest question is just, I guess, once the deadline for the 29th comes, and there does seem to be a lot of residents out of country right now that aren't currently checking their mailboxes, so, you know what I mean? I just don't want anybody to be missed, and I don't want the office to be inundated with calls, so
No.
the sooner we can get that taken care of, the better, please.
Jason, what would you say is a date that could go out?
Yeah, that could probably go this week, and even with the 29th deadline, I mean, we fully anticipated, the reason why we put it for May is that we fully anticipate the month of June as having, as another month. I mean, last year, it was June before spring cleaning started. We just wanted to have as much waste as possible in the May month, just to avoid public works having to have
Oh, yeah.
too much.
One time, yeah.
But as Maxine indicated, there should be no issue with extending this 29th beyond that, and having so that those that are getting curbside, that if the neighbor calls in the area, people use their discretion to be able to collect what we can. There's also 3 weeks of drop-off at Public Works, where previous years it's only been 2. So we
Yeah.
have an additional week where people will be familiar with 3 weeks, which can fully be extended to 4, if not 5. And we can make that determination operations as we see the volume of waste coming in and out, if we honest, once people know that the program is started and how to get involved.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
I would just last little note, sorry. I would add the one you're going to do as the mail out as a new social media post as well, just because it includes the limitations.
The social media post is made today with the limitations.
Oh, was it? Okay.
But
Okay.
the thing with the limitations is that you would need a 10-page post. So most
Yeah.
we have major items, we also have reach out. If you have an item not on the list or
Yeah.
against, just contact the town office or send an email.
Sure.
And we can certainly do our best to accommodate what you have, to point you in the direction where it needs to go.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, any more questions or comments from business arising from the minutes? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business to table?
I had one, but I haven't heard back from the fire department yet, so we'll move on.
Okay, so you'll table that at next meeting then?
Yeah.
All right, I just want to take a minute. Obviously, everyone knows what this winter, the impacts. We've had 8 weather patterns of treacherous rain that we've never seen before in history, actually. So I just like to put a shout out to and thanks to the Public Works crew and department for their quick response to many of the potholes. They're catching up pretty quick, and not to toot, our own horn, but we're ahead of a lot of other communities, and it's nice to see that they've dedicated some time now that they've had time without having to do other repairs around town. And I just wanted to also thank the recreation staff for the Easter egg hunt this past weekend. It seemed to go over really well, and that's something that really brings a community together, and it's all great for community, and also seeing the smiles on kids' faces was something really enlightening. I was going to touch on the sporting event, but Councillor Freak got that one, so we are good. Is there any other new business? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence. Western Regional Service Board seeking a board member. It says Action Council to nominate a member. Is there any interest?
I had a call from Josh Curie saying that he would like for town to nominate somebody to that board.
And I can appreciate Mr. Carey's request, and, as he would know as a former councillor, there's a lot of time and dedication to other boards and, you know, organizations within the community. So when is the answer that they need back for this one?
April 29th, I know.
April 29th. And when do we convene again for another public meeting? 2 weeks from, so. Okay, so I guess we can have a further discussion if there's no commitment here tonight. See if anyone more so has availability, but I guess we'll move on, saying that we can't confirm at this time, but we will look into it. Yeah, definitely.
Let me know and I can.
You know, you won't hear from me. I can't take on more. I think if I did, I would be in trouble in many other ways. So I just can't.
Yeah, no, and you know, I can appreciate that. It's a full-time job alone, just without other departments, but we'll work around schedules and see if we can make a nomination. Item number 2, operations for Smiles. It's an invitation for proclamation. Jason, would you recommend that we can read this proclamation out sooner or closer to the date of the proclamation other than now, or?
Yeah, we'll read it closer to the date of June 19th.
Okay, but we'll have no issue with going forward with that proclamation.
I got a correspondence from the fire department.
Okay, go ahead.
So I just wanted to let everybody know that the fire department decided, due to various reasons, they will not be doing parking lot spring washing this year. So I just know that a lot of people reach out to the fire department and ask, and they want to know yes or no, but Earl's confirmed that this year, unfortunately, they will not be doing that. So thanks to the fire department.
Okay. That's good to know, because like you said, there is a lot of, there's quite a bit of a request, but I'm sure there's all great reason why. And we will leave that with them. All right. Any more correspondence? Seeing none, we shall move on to reports. Finance Councillor Jones, please.
Okay, we held our meeting on April 13th. There's 13 items on the agenda. Number 1, Marine Garden Road holdback for $81,212.69. Recommend approval. Number 2, for Marine Canal Road holdback for $88,801.08. Recommend approval. Brook Construction Clean, number 6 this is, for $28,476.99. Recommend approval. MEO training for basic fire inspections funds allocated in the budget for 2022. We recommend approval. Swim for Hope, the request there for May 28 pool rental. We'll recommend approval as we did in the previous years for this great fundraiser for them. Number 6, Crime Prevention Guide, Senior Abuse Awareness. Recommend standard donation of $25. Xavier Junior High donating look for donate a rolling compost bin. We recommend approval. The AMNL Symposium again on May the 5th, registration of $300. Administrative Assistant, we recommend approval. Municipal Grant Service to PSD Citywide for $371.25, recommend approval. Computers and communication for our Viper virus upgrades for $977.50, we recommend approval. Number 11 is a property tax exemption for account number 111888 for the tax of $1602.30, excluding garbage exemption of $640.90. Owner to pay $961.38. We recommend approval. Number 12 for the property tax exemption account number 111949. The tax of $1220.10, excluding garbage exemption of $366.03. We recommend no one to pay $854.07. And number 13 for business, our business tax incentive program, total account number 115728. Recommend approval of $1,251.75. I move that we accept the finance report for April 13th, items number 1 to 13.
I'm just wondering, number 9, which I agree with. Just wondering, do we still pay into the other one though? Remember the other one we used to do was like $7,000. We did get that one time for the trail, like $20,000 as a grant. Do we still pay into that, Maxine? Do you know? We're not. Oh, okay. Okay. That's it.
Okay. Any more questions?
accounts payable. Items number 1 to 43, excluding number 40, as I would declare conflict of interest. And number 4 for B&S Trucking, Councillor Hancock would declare conflict of interest. So we'll go through these items first, 1 to 43, and as I said, excluding number 40 and number 4.
All right, moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by
So moved.
Freak. Call for the question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried.
I just want to note, we talked about just before the meeting, salt and things. Item number 8, you'll see that that was our invoice for 2021 and 2022. We just spoke of that, just to make note.
I guess just a quick note also on our finance meeting, we're going to be doing a quarterly budget on where we are at now this time of the year. It's crazy with the prices of everything going up. We just want to see where we're to and where we're heading. So we should add that for the next report.
Great idea with a lot of, obviously inflation's a lot of variables that create.
I'm currently working on our budget. We're just trying to figure out where we just went with this. Yeah.
All right, Councillor Hancock, you want to step up for item number 4?
Okay, so item number 4 for B&S Trucking, our waste disposal is $1,886. I move that we accept number 4.
Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Freak. Call for the question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried.
Thank you. I'll step out now and I'll grab Councillor Hancock on the way.
Item number 40, for the amount of $747.42, the invoice to Western Steelworks. I make a motion to pay.
Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for the question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Councillor Jones. You, sir? Thank you very much. All right, that concludes finance and accounts payable. We shall move on to public works.
All right, this is for the minutes, Public Works for April 14th, 2022. In attendance was Town Manager Maxine Hayden, Superintendent of Public Works Dave Thomas, Director of Operations Communications Jason Young, and myself. Regrets for Councillor Langdon and Councillor Hancock. Number 1, water issues with Fifth Avenue. Public Works received a concern from a resident on Fifth Avenue regarding heavy runoff from the road depositing excessive water into their yard and driveway. Unfortunately, the crown of the road flattens near this dwelling's driveway, sending water from both sides of the road onto the property in question. Public Works did install a catch basin adjacent to the driveway in 2021, but will investigate the situation further once weather permits to determine a solution. Item number 2, subdivision sign, Stella Place. Local residents and motorists have stated that the current location of the land advertisement is preventing clear sight lines for the intersection of Stella and George Aaron Drive. Therefore, it has been recommended that our MEO visit the proponent to have the sign reinstalled at a more suitable location within the subdivision. Number 3, special request for funding. This is more or less an FYI to other departments regarding the assistance of Public Works to complete or fund special requests outside of the operational scope of diversion. As I hope councillors and managers can appreciate, the past few months have been unprecedented with the substantial amount of snowfall, unanticipated rain events, sewer blockages, and most of all, the exceptional price of fuel. All these items have chewed away a good portion of our operational budget where we feel there is an increased need to oversee our budget. As mentioned in finance, that we'll be doing a quarterly report. Public Works hopes to have a better feel of what our budget is during that time. So therefore, we ask that any new requests which require the assistance of Public Works to be brought to the committee level before any new activities outside normal operations occur. Item number 4, apprentice mechanic. As mentioned in the last public meeting, item number 7, for those keeping track, Public Works has discovered that the town is not eligible for apprenticeship funding. Therefore, council will explore the option of directly hiring an apprentice. However, this will have to wait to our next budget. Item number 5, crosswalks along Nicholsville Road, near Home Hardware, Deer Lake Manor. Issues have been raised regarding the lighting near the crosswalks and the proximity to Deer Lake Manor. Therefore, Public Works is recommending to relocate the most southerly crosswalk north towards Nicholsville, approximately 40 feet, to avail of an existing street light and to give more time to stop for pedestrians. I'd just like to make a side note at this time that I ask motorists to be more mindful of the increased pedestrian and cyclist traffic, as it seems Mother Nature may bless us with spring. I hope, anyway. Number 6, booster pump, Goose Arm Road. As mentioned in earlier reports from Public Works and Environment Housing, Public Works is recommending to pursue to have an engineering consultant review the water pressures volume along Goose Arm Road to provide recommendations to either upgrade our inline booster at the intersection of George Aaron and Goose Arm Road, or to install a new system for the residents who are struggling with current water issues. Therefore, I move to accept the minutes of Public Works for April 14th, 2022.
I just,
Okay,
oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Bring it on.
No, I was just gonna mention number 4 here for a second. It'd be great, like since The Apprentice has ended from that time period, so let's say the day that he ended, it'd be interesting to, if this is going to be 2023 indeed,
Yeah.
to start capturing very closely every cent we spend that if they were there, we wouldn't have had to spend. Meaning at Simmons Tire, at Deer Lake Truck. It'd be a great tool to be able to help us in 2023's budget.
And I think our superintendent of public works, he's been
He's monitoring it very
that.
closely?
He's brought the conversations to us during the time, and as of right now,
Yeah.
he's left to actually farm this work out to.
But now, like, and here's the hard part, like, it would have to be him and the mechanic, because capturing only the things that we had to as a result of that person not being there. I mean, there's probably going to be things we have to farm out anyway, regardless of an apprentice being there. It could be the type of job that's being done or whatever. It could be a very specific to something we don't do. However, capturing in a very sort of, as best they can, the costing of what could have been avoided, because it might be the argument 100%, regardless of apprenticeship funding, to hire an apprentice
Yeah, and
in the long term for Deer Lake.
yeah, and I think that's kind of where we're in. I know Jason brought up a good example when we were in our discussions of the pumper truck and how what a necessity of that piece of equipment has been. And whenever that had pulled into the garage, everything more or less had to stop because we had to make sure that that was completely operational.
Yeah.
Especially with that latest sewage blockage and spillway. Without that truck, we could have been.
Yes,
I won't repeat it, but
Yes.
down a certain creek. So,
yeah. Up a certain creek. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
but you know what I mean. That
Yeah,
there's, like for example, if you were to pull in a truck, and you're going to do work on it, and as a result of that, you had to send 2 others off because they just couldn't wait as well. But that's the priority item. There's going to be stuff that occurs that, regardless of having an apprentice or not, you'd be sending it off. We're still going to
Oh, there's
give
no
work
doubt.
to Deer Lake Truck and Tire.
Oh, there's no
We're
doubt.
still going to give work to Simmons Tire or whatever.
Yeah.
All these garages. But how much actually is it costing us that we could have handled ourselves?
I think our biggest emphasis is on our heavy equipment, not our light vehicles, but
Yeah.
it has become a concern there for our superintendent. I think this is our 3rd conversation with apprentices since
Yeah.
September, so they're trying our best there, so.
I mean, sometimes when you hire somebody, you think to yourself, well, we just added a cost of hiring somebody. But if you're minusing a cost of major outsourcing, then then
But what
your
you
money
paid
in,
What you paid for
potentially.
your apprentice before, now you're paying them 4 times the value of what you
100%.
can pay before because it's being farmed out.
I
could
think we
be.
could look at those numbers in our previous years. I know Mike definitely spent a fair bit of time. You know, if we were to easily look back in the accounting system, on a couple of different lines and payrolls and stuff like that, like I think we could go back and find out before the apprentice was with us as well.
Yeah, like, just seems
versus
like,
just going forward.
yeah, it seems like there could be value in that analysis, because it could be a very easy decision.
As a tradesperson, I worked over 25 years in Kids. We had a simple saying, whether it was the general foreman or the superintendent or any part of management, that one person can't do what two can do work of three.
Yeah, yeah.
So you would be in a cost savings, definitely so. And we have, back to your point, Council Freak, we've asked quite a few times for cost analysis, and I've seen, I'm aware that there's only so many hands or whatnot, and I don't think the superintendent of public works is the one that can determine his plate's full. I mean, this needs to be something that really needs to be in-house in numbers. I think it's a numbers formula that you'll save money, and you'll also give the current journey person a second set of hands, which he desperately needs.
And a quick, simple one that we looked at was the hourly wage of the mechanic versus the hourly wage that we were paying with equipment out. I mean, that number was an easy one to figure out.
Not to mention if he's doing a lot of OT, that perhaps could have been avoided if he had the support and help to handle the job. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces to that.
You know, back to Councilor Fitzgerald's point, you know, the equipment is getting a little more complex, like the hydrovacs, you know, back about 20 years ago was insane. It's way more moving parts. There's, as the town stands, it's just in a fleet.
And we have another new piece of equipment coming in in the fall, so.
Yeah.
I think it's very important that we keep the focus and we don't lose on that. So,
Hmm.
is that another question, Councilor Hancock? Okay, Councilor Jones?
A couple, I guess, under number 6 there for the water booster, I'm not sure, but I thought we'd already done a water study on it. Did we do that there, Maxine?
You want to study?
Yeah, like, do you want to know about the booster pumps? I mean, didn't we get that
We
measured?
had a water study completed, Councilor Jones, but it had nothing to do with.
Just that booster pump,
Just the one
just
booster
a
pump?
yeah.
just that one pump we're looking at.
Okay.
Did it mention, do you recall, that area as
No, it's just been the ongoing concern, especially with the talks of the new subdivision being developed in 2A.
yeah.
Goose Arm Road, so it is something that the town has to make a recommendation to move forward with that subdivision, so that's why we're recommending that we go for this ASAP, more or less.
Councilor Fitzgerald, in that, I guess in that study, the booster pump, is that, or is there a hope to alleviate the concerns on the upper end of Nichols Landing with that same?
Yeah, and I think this is to the whole Goose Arm Road area in general that would be, because we do have residents that have to lower water pressure besides Nichols Landing. They're at the bare minimum, but when summer hits, our volume gets a little bit lower, which reduces the flow coming out of the tap. So this would more or less solve that issue for Nichols Landing and the upcoming subdivision. So.
I know the MEO did a good job last summer of, you know, trying to regulate when you use your garden, you know, watering your garden and whatnot, but we all have to respect until we get, you know, everyone wants to get discipline and sprinkler, but you gotta respect your neighbors as well, so we'll keep an eye on that again as well. Councilor Jones?
Number 3, I guess the recommendation for
Mm-hmm.
special events. What do you mean by special events? Like outside of normal Deer Lake operations?
Yeah, if there's just some special request from a department to utilize our staff at Public Works and our operations at this time. I know there's usually, it's a budget thing that's carried over into other divisions. But we want to kind of see where that is at committee level, if it's coming out of our budget or not.
Yeah, well,
It's
we
more or less
use,
a finance thing.
I know, but we use Public Works for several things, I guess. I don't know if they're special or what they are, but it's a normal operation. Like we use, well, this year, we just finished a sliding hill. We use for the we use them for the Santa Claus parade, we
Well,
use them
it
for our
just
fair, Strawberry Festival.
Okay, with the Sliding Hill, for instance, we didn't know that was happening in Public Works.
But it's done every year. So Public Works should have been aware of it.
Well,
There's no difference, you know, that the Strawberry Festival's coming up and guys gotta go down there. Or the Santa Claus parade's coming up and then they gotta go with barricades. That's all, as far as I'm concerned, just normal operations for events. I thought you meant like any special requests from outside of the community.
no, I'm talking about actually in-house. It's kind of like, we're talking, concerns over overtime and everything of this nature, and we're utilizing our budget somewhere else. We're getting tight here. You're one to make that concern all the time about where we are with our, with our staff.
Oh,
So-
definitely, but
So this is kind of where we're coming from is, are we utilizing our operations the proper way we should be? So this is kind of where we're coming from. So,
So I guess we'll let, I guess in my normal practice in the past, we always use the 3 Ls, I guess, not discuss publicly, which is labor, law, and land. So I guess, you know, with this funding here, I could probably, I guess even all of us could have a few ideas, and now we can go forward and probably looking at doing different ways of cost saving. So, you know, okay, I agree with you to a point, I guess, but to me, it's normal operations, but
there's nothing saying that it's.
But we
not
can dig
normal.
into it.
It's, yeah, it's just something that I think as a committee that we want to have knowledge of what's going on. It's kind of what we're getting at.
Just one question, and I'm not sure if it's just because if something is an annual event, like if it occur, not necessarily event, but use of public works and labor. If it's something that occurs every year, do you still want to be made aware of it?
But the part is that you're going on what past is. We are a new council.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what's annual for the most part. Yeah, I know the Strawberry Festival is annual, to
Yeah.
that nature and all that stuff, so.
Well, I guess I'm just wondering for like future, say 2023, if we know now that it's something that's annual,
Well, then
do you
that's-
still want to know
But
it?
we'll know that's into the budget. Like,
What's
we'll
that?
carry, like the Sliding Hill.
Yeah.
It was expensive.
Yeah.
We kind of wanted, it was a question that was brought last time, and we just want to know, should we be budgeted, put that in the budget as a separate item?
Or is it
Those
separate?
kind of things.
Well, it could
That's
potentially.
the kind of way I'm looking at it.
yeah.
I just,
I just think it's
I
being
understand for
fiscally
anything.
responsible.
Well, to be fiscally responsible, you want to get like that there, why didn't we have a winter shift fund this year with the town of Deer Lake and paid it overtime instead? You want to be fiscally responsible, you know? So
I'm
I guess
just-
we should sit down as a group and probably ask you a few items, I guess not in the public eye, but around a little bit of privacy.
My only piece was just if it was a regular thing we did every year. I understand if it's anything that's quite different, like, hey, listen, oh my goodness, this thing came up. Can we do this? Should we do this? But if it's something that's annual and occurs every single year,
That's
you know
my
what I mean?
thoughts, yeah.
I just don't know if that's, but it could easily be a separate budget item. It could be a line item
A budget
underneath
item.
Public Works, just to sort of separate it and keep it clear. You could do that or something.
I think for myself, I'd like to see, and again, I'll just use last week's discussion or the week before. That's not out of my budget. No, that's out of your budget, you know? So
Yeah.
I'd like for the managers to know that they're both so tight on their budget, and at the end of the
Yeah.
year, like, they get to do extra things or not do extra things. But that's kind of how I read that I would like to see, if it's coming from that discussion, I'd like that they know, because there's things that both managers would really like to do. So if it's from an operational standpoint, then let's make that clear. No, this is out of your budget. This is something that we've done every
Yeah.
year, and it comes out of the operating cost of this budget, not
Yeah.
this budget.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think-
Just to make sure that you're not, our ideas aren't pitching managers against each other or anything of the sorts, right? Just,
I certainly see the value in
Covering all bases.
in separating things into categories and making sure it's quite clear and whatever. But and if it was, then it wouldn't even have to really come because it would be already a budgeted item. It would be even
Yeah.
like annual things can just be a line.
Well, that's kind of
You
what
know what I
I
mean?
kind of look at it, then there's no questions to be asked.
But I mean, I think what you're saying here, like when I look at this, I think of like things that are just where is this coming from? And this is just outside of the realm of anything we've ever done. You're asking us to come over and, I don't know, fire off or something, whatever
Yeah,
it
well,
is.
that's just simple and straight.
You know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
saying that the operations is not going to do it. It's
Yeah,
just having a knowledge of what's expected.
Now, in all fairness, Councillor Freak has called in electricians by myself without manager's discretion. So I didn't know if I'd made a call or anything of the sorts. But again, that's something, it's a learning curve for us, you know, because I've called staff, you know, as innocently enough, like, hey, this is not working, you know, can you come have a look? And Dave brought it to my attention, you know, Amanda, you can't just call, you know, staffers to come out and have a look. You think it's so innocent, but, you know, they deserve their call out and their shift and their whatnot. So again, it's just, I think it comes back to the management piece of it, if that's nice and clear, then there's no discrepancy at the end of the day, you know, once somebody runs out of money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just.
Because Maxine, at the end of the day, got to make sure that everybody's playing nice in the sandbox.
Oh, yeah. I think I was just getting caught up in the special, like sort of outside the norm, I guess.
No, I just thought it was outside normal
Outside the norm.
operations.
I guess. But I think there's some work even at budget time to clear up some of that. I think could easily be cleared up a bit. I think it's reasonable.
So specifically to the slotting bill, is this the last time that we're gonna bring up, the reason I'll intervene here and get some more clarification to where I think this conversation is going? I'm not sure, Councilor, if you're sure that you're being told one thing from management and I'm told something different, because it would have been my call to the town manager to say, hey, here's an idea. Glenn's looking at expanding the ice rink, which I will say was the best ice rink in the town's history. I've heard it quick, from the committee, and they were very appreciative of it. The other issue was COVID, and we were in the mix of it, wanting to keep everybody far apart, right? So that was another thing. There was zero opportunity for anyone to be picked off by a hockey puck in the same locations. So as the mayor, I made a request to the manager, what are your thoughts? Her call was, well, I'll speak over with the two other department heads. I had no play in how it was built, who was gonna build it, or whichever. I can respect your, you know, your thoughts on budgeting and where we are in a different situation, so I respect that. But, I just wanna say here tonight, I think this is the last time it needs to come to the table, and if it has to come to the table, I think we've all had some learning lessons back to Council Creek, we're all new in this council setting. We're 6 months in, we're gonna make mistakes, and I'll be the first to admit, but in this case, I don't think I did, unless you were told something totally different than I was.
No, and that's not how this conversation's come across there, Mr. Mayor. There's been a second, this is just one of the other things that just come up.
Yeah.
And and I've been questioned, and I can't answer it, so. And it's very difficult as the chair of Public Works not to be able to, I really can't make an answer to that, so.
And you know, there's a lot of moving parts to a council, and I'll be the first to admit, do I forget some to discuss with department heads? Absolutely. Will I miss some more in the future? Absolutely. But by any means, my door is open, my phone is on. I think we got lots of good work to do as a team here, because pulling in the same direction together is the only way that will benefit this community. Back to, I have one question about crosswalks on Municipal Road. So that's the one specifically, between the Manor and Home Hardware. There was, because I was going to pass that on
Yeah.
to,
Okay.
issue brought to me from a resident, but they also brought up next to Little Road, we missed it or not, or maybe that was just the one I brought, but there's another one, if you could bring it to your committee, because we're still a few weeks out before painting starts. It's one by Luscious Lane. It's on the corner, and this resident, was quite concerned that it's got picked up. But it wasn't there, you know, due diligence was followed, but sometimes it's missed.
Well, is that next, okay, I know exactly where you're talking, on the curve there, it's, yeah.
And then, I think it was first year last council, or second year that we started putting in road traffic control signs for crosswalks and whatnot. I'd like to see in next year's budget, maybe we can look at doing some different ones. The ones like we got, Pasadena has done a brilliant job of automating it. You just hit it, that's when it goes on.
Yeah,
I've never really seen it work well, but
we actually discussed that in our last committee
They're
meeting. We
desensitized
just,
to the lights now.
Yeah, so you just automatically see it now, it's right on the street light.
Yeah,
So
no.
not really torn up.
Can those be adjusted to do that?
Actually, we were going to, for a pilot project on the next budget. Obviously, they cost money, but we were going to do a pilot. We did say that it was going to be by the manor, the crosswalk in question, but I understand the importance of the crosswalk that you're mentioning there. I drive by it every day, and it's, yeah. So, yeah.
That's what you want, can we table that one in your next, or
Sure.
in your road meeting?
Yep, well, we'll.
So guys,
we'll
I
address.
drove past that a couple of days ago, and I thought the crosswalk sign is down closer to Mr. Rideout's house. Like, I drove it, and I tried to take, like, I thought we had already moved that down, and then the sign that's still in the ground of crosswalk is down by
I thought it was done, do it.
There's 2 crosswalks in that area.
2
Yeah.
in front of that.
There's 2 crosswalks very
Okay.
close to one another in that area.
The one on the turn is scary.
Yeah, that's the one in question here, so.
I know we talked about as well, Darren, Councillor Fitzgerald. We stopped the crosswalk just past Joe Butt's Lookout, across there from Bennett Avenue. So you got to cross the road to get back on the sidewalk. So we actually talked about extending, remember, the sidewalk along the other side of Nicholsville Road, so there wasn't like 3 different crosswalks in that area, because we kind of created that as well, right? That if the crosswalk continued on, and we kind of said, you know, it's you're doubling the one road. We were trying to get as many sidewalks on roads that don't have sidewalks versus that, but it's been a huge safety issue, especially for, you know, seniors and students and stuff walking that area, Lakeside Drive, like it should, because if they came out Lakeside Drive, they wouldn't have to cross the road to get on the sidewalk. Then they go down to Bennett Avenue, got to cross the road again to get back on the sidewalk, right?
A lot of residents just walk along the curb there through those 5 homes that are sitting there on,
Right.
on Nicholsville.
Yeah.
They're crossing over, so. It is definitely a very high pedestrian area. So.
Yeah, for a short distance.
One last question, sorry, in keeping with the crosswalk idea here, do we have any paint shortages this year? I know that last year that was a big thing.
Dave hasn't brought that to our attention this year, so.
And the only reason I bring it up is because we talked about a design of crosswalks, and one of the issues being paint shortage. And he was managed to get his hands on a certain amount or whatever, and
in error.
but barely. And he sort of got lucky
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. And but I just wonder if that discussion's worth revisiting as well. If there's no paint shortage.
I do know, just for last year, we did reduce the size of some of the hatching, we'll say, on the crosswalks with that in mind. But we did come across late in the painting season that we did have sufficient, so that we did have enough to carry the season. We may even have some to start off, but we've yet to hear any concerns moving into lawn painting season.
Yeah.
There would be a shortage or any delays in starting and having sidewalks continue as they typically would with no weather conditions permitting.
But it's definitely Councilor Hancock will bring up with their next committee meeting to ensure that we're okay with there.
Definitely, but, and you know, it could be a good sign that if people start to feel like we're starting to come back to something along.
We hope.
All right, any more questions for the always questionable public works? All right, hearing none, all those in favor? Carried minded, motion carried. Thank you, Councilor Fitzgerald. Move on to Environment and Housing, the Deputy Mayor's absence. Councilor Jones,
Ma-
or Councilor
I'll go, I guess.
Well,
I'll do this one. Okay, we had our Environment Agency meeting on Thursday, April 14th, and regrets to our deputy here who seemed like he's having some family issues, so we hope we're all well and the best. So, I mean, like I said, our meeting was held on April the 14th. Here I have number, do you want me to leave it number 7?
Please.
I don't, okay. So, anyway, you want to step out of the room, we'll do number 7 first, I guess, get that over with.
Okay, just for note, because the Councilor Fitzgerald's going to declare a conflict just because of permits.
Well, this is a permit issued to 44 George Aaron Drive to repair the walkway and foundation. We issued a permit and we recommend approval for this.
All right, moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Hancock. Call for the question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried.
Yeah, I can.
I'm back. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll continue on our report there. On the general repairs, number 1 to 6 and number 8. These are just for local general repairs, doors, siding, windows, fences, shingles, etc. All these permits have been issued. For extensions, number 9, 3 Juniper Street, replaced rear deck, permit approved. Number 10, 69 George Aaron Drive, a roof over basement entrance, approved. It's nice to see this next view here. For under new residents, 211 Nicholsville Road, new dwelling. I'm going to defer this one for more information, for clarification. 34 to 36 Murdoch Drive, new dwelling, pending its easement through the property and plat surveys met. And 38 to 40 Murdoch Drive, also new dwelling, just pending easement through the property and the plat surveys met. Number 14, 8 Stella's Place, real property report been received, approved February 10th meeting, permit issued, and February 25th, so we approved this permit. And the commercial construction, number 15 for the Deer Lake Irving, a drive-through, approved service, approved by Service and L. Its permit has been issued. Number 16, Mary Brown's on the 60 Trans-Canada Highway, replacing existing poles, permit has been issued. And under new business, 3 items. Number 17, the Hollow Nagan Vape Shop, 13 Main Street, selling of vape products to 3 employees, pending Service and L approval. Number 18, All Season Recreation and Repairs, 16 Elizabeth Avenue, is home-based business with some small engine repairs in it. We're going to defer this for more information and clarification. Number 19, Good Nails, and 317 3rd Avenue is home-based business. It's pending the letter of approval from property owner and advertising. And there are other items. Number 28, 2 South Main Street, ownership of land next to him, possible purchase. We're going to complete a title search to determine ownership of the land before any commitment is involved. Number 2110 Pine Tree Drive, easement, possible purchase of land. We're going to deny this request as the town owns the easement and it's for a sewer line. Number 22, 2A Goose Arm Road, being reviewed by Public Works meeting for information purposes. Number 25, this is from Sharon Sellers. She works for Transport Canada. Just a couple of discussions with our EO officer, just improving some signage we'd like to have installed in our boat land. So I move that we accept the report of environment housing for April 14th, items 1 to 25, excluding number 7.
All right, thank you. Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for question.
I just want to give a little clarification, Mr. Mayor, on number 22. This is the deal with the booster inline pump that we just discussed in Public Works. So
Okay,
just to add that to this agenda.
okay, thank you. Any more questions?
Just wondering, the number 11, defer for more information, is that related to the land ownership? Is that a reason?
Relating to, I guess, accessibility and the filling of the lands to make sure no interference
Oh, okay.
with the drainage of other parts of the area in town.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know if it was I know there was a letter there, and so I just didn't know if that was part of it. Okay.
All right, any more questions? I just wanted to make a note that it's nice to see permits starting to come back with new dwellings, so that's
7 new dwellings.
7 if these are all going in.
Excellent.
that's really good news.
I
So.
can't see no reason to deny them, just for clarification, that's all purposes.
Okay, all right, call for question. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you. We shall move on to Arts, Recreation, and Culture. Councillor Hancock, did you want to take that one just so there's no complication in here? And Councillor Langdon?
Yes, I'll read that one. Just might be a little easier coming over from a virtual standpoint.
Excuse me, can you do number 4
Yes.
outside? Because
Yep.
I'll declare conflict of interest in that one.
Just 1 second, my link's not working. I got to sort of scroll through all this E&H stuff.
I know, my links weren't working either.
Just 1 sec. Oh, I get it. No panic. People will wait calmly for me. Okay, I will do number 4 separately. Do you want to do it first, or do you
Yeah,
want to
sure,
wait?
I'll step in.
Okay, we'll do it first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, just a note, Department of Arts, Recreation, and Culture met April 6th, and I just want to note that for the first one, when I come to it, that Councillor Langdon didn't join us until number 2 in this list. Okay, so moving on to number 4 here, as a result of the conflict, arena accessibility upgrades. The recreation complex is looking at ways to make the arena more accessible by removing the lower row of seats and installing new railing on the Main Street end of the arena. This will allow persons with mobility challenges, particularly in wheelchairs, the ability to get down to the ice level of the arena. The users, up until this point, could only access the arena from the main lobby and or the upper level of the arena. If this modification is made, users will now be able to access all levels of the arena. This may have to be budgeted for next year unless there is funding that the town can avail of. And I think maybe some of the quoting and stuff might have come from Western Steel, which is the... But this is a for council information only as a result of it not being a budgeted item.
Okay, and just for clarification, Councillor Jones stepped out due to the fact that possibly having some ties to doing the work, so I just want to note that just to keep his seat protected. Thank you.
I mean, it's
So-
not a motion itself. It's not a
No.
motion. It's just information. But
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. So I can make it.
To item number 4.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept number 4 on the Department of Arts and Recreation minutes.
As presented, right?
Yeah, as
So-
presented, yes.
Okay, thank
So
you.
explain, I just want to ask a question. So
I'll
you're gonna,
just let us
yeah.
go through the motion and I'll call for questions.
oh yeah, sorry.
All right, so moved by Councillor Hancock, seconded by Councillor Freak. Call for a question.
So you would, when you come down the 2 steps, the last steps to go to the dressing room, you're saying remove that row of seating,
Yeah, like
And-
the lowest row,
right?
right down there, like where the little ramp, where the little sort of steps come there.
Yeah,
Remove that row, increase the height of that,
right?
bring it up to a level in which people could have more space, first of all. It's not purely about accessibility, but that's one of the benefits.
Yeah,
And then it would allow people, because right now they're noticing a lot of congestion. People are there trying to get on their skates and whatever, and parents are there with their kids and are struggling in that regard. But also it would just make it a little wider there and more accessible overall, because then you could just join in and have a straight across
well, let's say
coming to
you,
the stairs.
let's say you had a
And those
parent-
seats can't be used anyway.
right.
They're really pretty well useless seats from a viewing standpoint.
You think about a parent with a disability or in a wheelchair, that they would not be able to get their child to the dressing room. Like they would have to come in from Main Street, which is currently snowed in, they'd have to come down that side ramp. Even if they got down the side ramp, you can't get between the doors that open and the steps to get into the changing rooms. So from a accessibility piece, a parent who would need to get a child to the dressing room would not be able to do it, the way that that's jammed off. Second of all, I got a video today of the kids who all came from the upper dressing rooms, down the steps, the door was opened, and the Labrador team had come down the steps, taken a right.
Yeah.
So the door was open because they
Which
were all
blocks
going
in-
out.
Blocks in.
So you had to like squeeze in. And I mean, these were like 11-year-olds, so I can't imagine having adults there. But I did take a video, I didn't realize you had that on the report. There's no way to maneuver down
No,
there.
you can't.
No way.
You can't.
So,
There might have to be adjustments to the door as well, like it's all built into the whole plan of it, but it's really at this point just information to
So-
talk about the idea. Really.
but what would Western Steel do down there? What would, like, because
He'd be designing the railing, mostly.
railing,
The railing
right,
mostly.
okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, it don't seem to have, it
Yeah,
don't
'cause
seem
you're
like
just
a
removing
big
seats,
expense
then yeah.
to remove seats. Okay.
Yeah. And some of the quoting's not back yet. We're still waiting on some of the quoting. So this will likely become a 2023 budget unless we see a cool piece of funding that we can go toward or something.
Do we know how many seats it is in general?
I got a picture of
think
it today.
I think it's probably 30 something.
34?
Councillor Langdon, can you,
It's between 35 and 40, there's generally 37 was the exact number.
Okay.
And then when you look at, even if you were to bring a group out and open the two doors, whether it was figure skaters or whoever, I think Brett would there, or Councillor Langdon, there's only like 10 or 11 seats in between the two doors. Like, I don't think there's many there, so you wouldn't be able to put anybody with,
Even we just went to those two doors, and like you said, it's probably at most, I would say 15 seats there. You know, and 34 seats or 37, whatever the number was, is right where the turn starts to the far end where the accessible ramp is. But right now, we're just talking about this first part.
Will we meet?
Note along the entire seating section of the Otter, it is only these 37 seats that are this close to the ice surface.
right,
If you'll notice, the rest of the arena has this additional step
Yes.
clearance
Yes.
that has space that the child can tog their skates, traffic can still
Yes.
follow.
Yes.
Whereas in this area, that's
can't.
not possible.
But will we meet accessibility code?
That would have to be.
That was
That
part
would
of
have to
the
be.
seeking further information.
Okay.
We think-
That would have to be.
Councillor Langdon brought up, we probably want a third-party analysis before we do any work, to have someone review as it is now. And if we do this proposed work, will it make, will we meet certain requirements from accessibility?
right,
In terms of having some landlots, say yes.
yeah,
Even to the point where Councillor Langdon has brought up those two doors, there is a double door over near the home bench. That perhaps we look at, that will become the main entrance point to the arena, rather than these two doors, because we had checked, I believe, Councillor Langdon, with, the Director of Recreation, those doors cannot be changed. They move in a certain, because of their accessibility, so they will still pose an issue. the way
Yeah, not without
swing.
significant.
Swing,
Yeah.
So all of that is kind of an envelope of that whole section of the arena, and do an analysis to determine if we do any work, is it gonna be more beneficial in terms of accessibility?
Well, I think it's a good idea.
And honestly, what arena's got entrance points from end points versus side points? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's shooting pucks, there's moving people, there's
Yeah,
like,
that was
the
another.
most
That was another
dangerous
piece
spot.
mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another piece mentioned because I know.
A lot of arenas are like that, Councillor Freak, but it's certainly not a preferred,
Yeah,
scenario.
Yeah.
okay, good stuff, especially when it comes to accessibility, so thank you. Is there any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Councillor Langdon? Thank you. Motion carried, thank you. I'll get Councillor.
it's just,
All right, Councillor Hancock?
Yeah, so sorry, continuing on here with the report. Number one, the feature wall entering the arena. So Recreation has obtained a quote for the supply and installation of a feature wall adjacent to the arena entrance inside the foyer of the Hodder. The wall itself will be a tribute to Darren Langdon. I'll leave out some of the details. Really, the details here.
Councillor Hancock, can I just stop for a second?
Sure.
Jason, if, just for the
Yeah, like-
interest of Councillor Langdon, can we just mute him for a minute?
Oh, sure.
Sorry, Brett, we're just gonna put you on mute here for a minute.
Yeah, good. That's a good idea. And just let me note that he was not present for this discussion at all. He came at the beginning of number 2 because obviously we know this would be quite outside his comfort level to speak about this. And it came from a resident outside completely of his family. And so it's in no way connected to him. So Recreation has obtained a quote for the supply and installation of a feature wall adjacent to the arena entrance inside the foyer of the Hodder. The wall itself will be a tribute. I'm not going to get into these details just because this is just a concept. This could change entirely. And the concept itself will have to come back. The pricing is not here. I believe it was around $1,500 or something. But Recreation feels this is a great way to show recognition of Deer Lake's first NHL player and a way of the town of Deer Lake to capitalize on his success. So Recreation is recommending approval. We have the funds in our advertising budget, which was discussed in the meeting. Also, we felt it would be obviously quite celebratory of the success and inspirational for others that use the arena. And it is a great little way to sort of make an artistic splash on that wall as well. This will be the wall, I guess, that's running along, Jason, where the change room, the new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is actually in the stadium. This is in the stadium.
Yeah, in the
Okay.
stadium. Yes. Yeah. So sorry. And the Recreation Committee recommends approval in this case. The Winter Games Legacy
Or-
Fund.
Councillor Hancock, sorry, can you put that as a set, can you make a
Sure.
motion to that, please?
Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we accept number 1 as presented in the Department of Arts, Recreation, and Culture minutes. I'll do it separately as a result of Brett being muted from this discussion.
All right, thank you. Moved by Councillor Hancock, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for the question.
Yeah, my only thing was I was worried that it was going to be in the lobby where we're going to tear it all apart.
Yeah, no.
So I just want to make sure it's actually in the arena, that's all.
Yeah, yeah.
So could we put that in our professional development funding?
What's that, sorry?
Can we put that on a professional development instead of advertising, because you don't have no advertising in your budget?
Oh,
It's all just different.
I'm
Just for the
perfectly okay
GL
with it,
part.
as long as Maxine, is
Okay.
fine with that, and I mean, it's fine. At the meeting, this was the one that seemed to be where it would go, and
Okay.
but it's fine. We
Well,
can make
don't
that
get me
friendly.
wrong, I
No, we can
strongly
make
agree.
that friendly amendment if it makes sense, 100%.
Well, I think going forward, especially even say the link go into the annex, if we were to get, I don't know if this would be like how it's going to be displayed, but I mean, when you look at people who've made big achievements in sports, if we had a wall of fame kind of go into the annex, the
A Hall of Dreams.
Hall of Dreams, something of the sort. So I mean, if we get it, but make it a little bit bigger, that you could add any sport that would, movements in swimming in our arena, in our,
I think it's a
Yeah,
good
when it
idea.
comes
Like,
to the annex, right?
it's a
What?
great space to do something with, I would imagine, based on the way I'm picturing it. I think it's a great space to do something like that.
Yeah, but just make sure that once we plan that, make sure it would match, or that you could create something to match, like a theme then throughout the.
And we should keep in mind as well, like Darren mentioned earlier, Councillor Fitzgerald, talking about the possible upgrades to the entrance of the stadium as a result of the legacy funds. All that really should have a somewhat themed and connected approach, really, which I think is quite possible and celebratory of multiple
Yeah.
sports. But yeah.
so.
I think that's a good idea. And this came about from residents as a result of being in other communities and seeing the celebration that was occurring. And I think as a town we probably did years ago, but I don't know if we've done a great job going forward of it. And it's still a very important achievement, and it's inspiring for others who are coming up and to see the potential and possibility.
No, I think that's a great idea, and it also allows, looking in other communities like Bonavista, it's where the dream started. Dream big, and this is what kids look to, in all athletics, so
Yeah.
specifically tied to one, but in our major sports centers, so.
We'll send out the design work like once it's complete and just see what people think, and maybe we'll have a bigger discussion at our next rec meeting around, hey, what about the link and what about the entry? How can we make sure that things all sort of come together to some degree?
Okay. Any more discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. All right, Jason, if you want to bring Councillor Langdon back in, please.
Florida.
So moving on to number 2, the Winter Games Legacy Fund. As you know, so I'm going to go off script here a little bit, but that fund has been around for many, many years, and a request came to the committee to sort of review that money again and to analyze, hey, listen, what can we do with that? And so 3 possibilities were discussed. One being the Recreation Center lobby, which has already been discussed around the table, but then 2 two ideas are sort of coming back that have been previously discussed, but given where we ended up with respect to the ski and the golf club, and what we wanted to do up there, we had a request from the committee to essentially examine a multi-purpose trailer, like a storage trailer, but it would be, say, wrapped with advertising and things appropriate to the town, like all the things that we do well, Strawberry Festival, would be sort of a nice trailer. And we have seen images of such a trailer around the table, but I don't think, Councillor Fitzgerald, you probably would have seen them just because it was last council. But it's an image that we can send out for sure. And the idea is that, and this is coming from the Winter Games Legacy Committee now, or the committee themselves, sorry. And so they're requesting that this trailer could be used for all kinds of events, for storage purposes, such for the tents we just purchased. This could be potentially, like, the options are endless, but I mean, some of the things we talked about were, like, say, it could go down to the skating rink and be used for a warm-up space. It could be used to give out, like, it could be for anything really, whatever you can put your mind to really. But it's something you can pull and show up with and host and do things with, basically. And it's a celebration of continued events and sporting and things like that, you know? So the other piece, sort of, again, coming off of the idea of the golf course, was the idea, and this is something Mark had presented to the committee in the past, about lighting up the first 430 meters of the Humber Trail entry, say, by Prowse's Bridge. So, and the whole idea was that it's Route 430 and you're lighting up 430 meters and playing on that a little bit. And then that loop would be used for snowshoeing and skiing. So these are basically just being explored. They're being, some quoting is being done, and we're going to come back to council with it. But we just wanted to let you know that's what's occurring really around that legacy money. And we also need to discuss again with the Legacy Committee to ensure they're okay with us going down the road of these three. Number 3, Recreation Complex. The Recreation Department will look into pricing paint for the front of the Hodder Recreation Complex to match the colors of the new annex, meaning we didn't want this massive blue structure attached to this very nice, architecturally pleasing black and whatever structure. So some kind of a, just to get a sense of the cost around that. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the Department of Arts, Recreation, and Culture minutes as presented.
All right, thank you. Moved by Councillor Hancock, seconded by Councillor Langdon. Call for a question.
I would just like to make comment, sorry.
Go ahead.
Item number 2 for the Legacy Fund. I would much rather see funds spent on something like lighting the trail on Route 430 versus like a depreciating asset. Like, you know, that the trailer is only going to be good for so long. But if we light the trail, like the life expectancy of that, and you could create events around that. I know Strawberry Festival, we've been able to, Garson's has, you know, donated fifth wheels in the past that were really nice and gave you everything that you wanted. And we could certainly buy one and then sell advertising on it, you know what I mean, to pay for itself. But it would be a hard sell to light the trail and get the advertising to keep it to look as... I don't know. I would just like to see, I think that little piece of the trail you could use all year long. You know, it's lit. It's
a
got
good
little
idea.
seating
It's a cool
area.
idea.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Mhm.
Just my thoughts.
Well, that's why I guess the number 4 that you can also look at is a storage for, I know we discussed storage alongside the facility for, like, we got a lot of chairs, tents, and flooring down there too. We gotta make sure we secure, because it's cost a lot of money, right?
But would the new annex basement take care of that?
Well, I don't know, I'm just
Yeah.
Yeah.
throwing
That
it out
was
there,
something
that's
though that came up, yes,
Yeah.
in previous, definitely. That was one of the biggest items actually got talked about previously. We had hoped that the annex basement would handle that, but I hear you.
And in respect to the Legacy Fund Committee, Winter Games, I guess, we got to give them some governance to be able to
Yeah,
finally
do
move
something.
on
Yes,
this, right?
be able to.
It's been
do
our
something.
legacy
Yeah.
money. It's been our legacy money.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's certainly becoming legacy at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're
We
getting interest, yeah.
We just wanted to be something versus
Yeah.
yeah.
Listen, that came up. Listen, you have to, you know, it's not a new idea what you're saying. It came up, and I think it's definitely worth hashing out to make sure we spend it in the best way possible. And it's meant, in my opinion, when we first started talking about this, to be celebratory of sport and activity and youth and everything, you know. And that's why I love the idea of introducing a new sport, which was what we were attempting to do up at the golf course. So, which was a sport of the Winter Games, which is still could be built into this 430, which is cool. So, anyway.
Think about the music you could play on Route 430, your Christmas music, your Halloween music, your spooky trails.
Oh yes,
your,
you're right. It's tons you could do with that.
Your Deer Lake Live events. Look, Carrie loves
Events, and we're lighting up the
It'd be
events.
spectacular.
But anyway, so sorry, but
Good job, Krista.
motion to accept this report anyway as presented.
So we got a mover, we got a seconder, call for the question, all those in favor?
I got a couple more
Sure.
questions.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. Was there any movement with the golf course authority on possible
Not-
having cross-country? Nothing?
Not after our initial meeting. Is that right, Councillor Langland? You,
Yeah, Councilor Fitzgerald, Mayor, there was, it seemed to be issues getting the Golf Club Association members of them to meet at that time, and, so I maybe can Chris provide, or Jason provide a better update on that as well?
I think,
I provide an update. We had an initial meeting, you know, to discuss the possibility of hosting events. But, you know, we did have a follow-up meeting, and it became more of an issue that if we invite the public to the area, would we require, inside space? Would we require washroom facilities for the public? It also became, I believe, that the road does get plowed, into the golf course, but there would not be the entire parking lot. So there was more operational, and it was late in the fall.
Yeah.
That pretty much they had winterized a lot of their facilities. Not that it couldn't be discussed again, to look at, you know, when the golf season does conclude, it would be even who would man the area, you know, staffing. That, not that it would be an obstacle, but it would be something they'd have to plan for. And they're actually willing to work with us, to do that. It just, it was a fall discussion that we felt was too quick
yeah.
to try to get. We did discuss having special events throughout the winter, but it just became too much of an obstacle. And with COVID, being able to meet in person, that we did agree, we go back to the table through late 2022, that perhaps 23.
Yeah.
Even with these options for legacy, that they may want that because it increases the usage and viability of the Humber River Golf Course.
Yeah.
And they're certainly open, as they have been with the disc golf,
Yeah.
is that it becomes multi-user, multi-purpose, which is something that they do have under mandate.
Yeah, I should be clear. Like, it's not that discussion's closed or that's not going to happen. It's just regarding the legacy money.
Just curious.
Itself.
That's where it was
Just-
brought up in item 2.
Yeah. Just the legacy piece. You know, not that those I'm still hopeful that we'll have a future in that. It's just from the legacy standpoint. I think the committee's like, we want to spend our money, and you know, we can't wait forever to kind of, you know, which makes sense.
okay.
Oh, do you have more questions? Oh, you had.
I was just curious, but, well, just, I know this is only for information anyways, but number
Yeah.
3 with the recreational complex painting, is there any thought of even changing the colors of the new building to match the existing?
It wasn't discussed, but I think some people really they thought the new colors were quite modern and cool.
Yeah,
as
I
opposed
kind of see a major expense again going towards the annex,
yeah.
and I
I didn't get Aaron, or sorry, Councilman Fitzgerald, for the information purposes, then we'll just make a decision.
yeah, that's all.
On that, yeah.
That's why I was just gonna hold off on that.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, all great conversation. Thank you, folks. Where are we? I'm just off track 1 second. Okay. So all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, before closing and calling for an adjournment, I just want to personally apologize. I looked at my phone and I've had quite a few messages. My microphone hasn't been on the whole time, but hopefully people could hear most of it. But I'll make sure I think I'll get a light installed so I can make sure, because it's hard to hear ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's just hard to hear you. Like, I think you just Speak into your mic a little
Yeah, I
bit,
had it
because it's
off
on. Okay.
in here, it sounds like, but anyhow, here we go.
See?
I
Yeah,
really
there
got to
you
get in there, but,
Yeah.
Dig down.
all right. So I will call for an adjournment. Date of next meeting is May 9th at 7:30 PM. Moved by Councillor Freak that we have an adjournment of the meeting at 8:47.